Ever stop to think about those make or break moments? The big client contract, that budget meeting, even just figuring out project roles with a colleague.
Yeah, absolutely. The common thread running through almost everything, especially in business, is negotiation.
Exactly. It's not just some optional skill. It's really the engine driving things forward. Getting good at it, well, that's practically a superpower.
It really is. Whether you're talking about landing a major deal, sorting out internal conflicts, or, even getting funding, how you handle those conversations is just critical.
Okay, so let's dive into that. Welcome, everyone. In this deep dive, we're aiming to give you some really solid, actionable tools to, well, sharpen your negotiation skills, especially for the business world.
We'll be looking at what actually makes a negotiation work, understanding the people involved, the power dynamics, and yeah, even how to deal with some of the tougher tactics you might run into.
And we've got some great source material to guide us. First, difficult conversations, how to discuss what matters most. It really digs into the human side of things.
And second, never split the difference. This one comes straight from high-stakes hostage negotiation, but the tactics, super applicable to business. They really offer complementary views, I think.
So where do we even start with something this complex? Both books seem to agree that you can't just focus on the topic itself. You've got to understand the people, the relationships, and the authority aspect.
That's definitely ground zero. Difficult Conversations has this brilliant framework. It says any tough talk, any negotiation really, has three layers going on at once.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the what happened conversation, like
Right.
the facts of the matter. Then there's the feelings conversation, all the emotions involved. And crucially, the identity conversation.
Identity, how does that fit in?
Well, it's about what the situation means to us personally. Our competence, our self-worth. Is this negotiation making me feel incompetent? Am I going to look stupid? That kind of thing. It massively affects how we act.
Ah, I can see that,
Yeah.
especially in business. If someone feels like their reputation or their judgment is on the line in a deal.
Exactly. They might dig their heels in, get defensive, react in ways that seem totally illogical if you only look at the deal points. It's because their identity feels threatened.
Right. Difficult conversations. Uses that example, Jack and Michael with the graph, wasn't it? Their arguments supposedly about the data.
But underneath, Jack feels totally undermined by Michael, even though he doesn't say it. That unspoken identity stuff, it can just derail everything.
Which makes that first conversation, the what happened part, much trickier. We all tend to think our view is the truth, right?
Yeah. We assume we know what happened. We assume we know the other person's intentions, usually not good ones, and we assume someone's got to be blamed. Difficult Conversations flags these as major pitfalls.
That happens all the time in business talks. Think about, say, a merger negotiation. One side thinks their valuation is obviously correct based on projection.
While the other side's due diligence paints a totally different picture. Both think they have the truth based on their data. Big disconnect.
And part of that disconnect comes from just having different information, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Difficult conversations points out we all pay attention selectively.
Totally. We filter based on our own experiences, our priorities, plus we literally have access to different data sometimes.
Like the parade example of the book, everyone watches the same parade, but sees different things. One person notices the costumes, another the music.
Yeah, or think about marketing and finance negotiating a budget. Marketing sees brand impact, engagement metrics. Finance sees ROI, cost per acquisition. Same campaign, completely different focus based on their roles and the info they prioritize.
Okay, so that brings in never split the difference, because it really hammers her the need to, get inside your counterpart's head, understand their world, their motivations, what they're scared of.
Exactly. It's less about pure logic and more about empathy as a tool. Understanding their why gives you way more leverage than just a perfect argument.
And part of their world is figuring out the power situation, right? Who actually has the authority to say yes or no?
Crucial. You need to know who the real decision maker is. And Never Split the Difference offers that interesting little linguistic clue.
Oh yeah, the pronouns. Whether someone keeps saying I or if they consistently use we.
It's subtle, but I might mean they have personal opinions or, more likely, they need to go get approval. We suggest they're representing the organization's decision. Helps you figure out if you're talking to the organ grinder or the monkey, so to speak.
You have to talk about getting to yes when you discuss negotiation. It's so foundational. But never split the difference kind of pushes back on it sometimes.
It does offer a different perspective, yeah. Getting to yes is great on finding win-win solutions through mutual interest. But coming from hostage negotiation, never split the difference, argues that approach can fall flat if the other side is purely win-lose.
Like if they're just trying to crush you.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Constantly looking for the middle ground when they're just trying to take as much as possible. Well, you can end up giving away the farm. Compromise isn't always the answer.
Okay, that makes sense. What about BATNA? Best alternative to a negotiated agreement. That's a classic concept.
It is standard negotiation theory. Know your walkaway option. It gives you power, helps you judge an offer.
Again, never split the difference adds a layer, doesn't it? It's not just your BTNA.
Right. It stresses focusing on your counterpart's perception of things. How do they see their alternatives? How do they perceive your leverage? Because leverage, the book argues, is often mostly perceptual.
So even if I don't actually have another buyer lined up, if the person I'm negotiating with thinks I might, or if they just really, really want what I have.
Then you gain power. The moment they show they want the deal, you gain leverage because you control the thing they desire. It's a subtle shift in focus from just your own alternatives.
Interesting. So negotiation power isn't just about having the best fallback plan.
Not at all. Never split the difference talks about positive leverage. That's when both sides genuinely want something the other has. Like you need their unique tech, they need your market access. That creates a much better psychological space for a deal.
And the flip side, negative leverage. Sounds a bit threatening.
It can be. It's about your ability to inflict loss, essentially, to take away something they value. The book uses extreme examples like threatening someone's well-being in a crisis.
Okay, hopefully not needed in most business deals.
Hopefully not. But the underlying point is understanding what the other side stands to lose. That understanding, though, knowing what they value, what they fear, what their religion is, as the book calls it, that's key to any leverage, positive or negative.
Religion meaning not actual religion, but their core beliefs, what they really truly value.
Exactly. Maybe it's market share above all else. Maybe it's unwavering commitment to Made in America. Maybe it's a CEO's belief in a certain economic theory. If you figure out that core principle, that religion, you found a powerful lever.
That feels connected to understanding their world more deeply.
It is, and so is the similarity principle. Finding common ground, building rapport, people trust people who they feel are like them. It greases the wheels.
And it's not just finding similarities, but understanding their hopes too. Like, what are they trying to achieve long term?
Yes. Tapping into their aspirations, their vision for their company or career, that can motivate them in ways simple logic can't. It helps you frame solutions that resonate on a deeper level.
What about when the other side just seems irrational? Like their demands are totally crazy.
And never split the difference. Suggests that often crazy isn't crazy. It's just a result of them having different information, different constraints, or simply not trusting you. Your job isn't to dismiss them. It's to figure out what information they're missing or why they don't trust you.
Find the gap and fill it.
Basically, yes.
Yeah.
Which leads us back to those hidden pieces of information about the black swans. The unknown unknowns that can totally change the game.
Like that story in the book about the seller who secretly needed to sell fast to pay off other debts.
Exactly. That's a black swan. Discovering those hidden constraints or motivations on the other side, that's where elite negotiation happens. It requires serious listening and observation.
Okay, let's talk tactics. Because negotiations aren't always friendly explorations of mutual interest. Sometimes you encounter, let's call them dirty tricks. How do we handle those? Never split the difference. Must cover this.
Oh, definitely. A big one is anchoring. Someone throws out a really extreme number first, either super high or super low.
To try and warp your sense of what's reasonable.
Precisely. That first number becomes an anchor, dragging the whole negotiation towards it. Think about initial salary offers or first bids in an acquisition. They have a huge psychological impact.
So how do you counter an extreme anchor?
Well, one way the book suggests is using ranges yourself, especially bolstering ranges. Let's say your target price is $100K. Instead of offering $100, you might say, based on comparable deals, we see a range of $100 to $115K is fair. Your real target is at the bottom, making it seem more reasonable.
Clever. What else? People often pivot away from money, right?
Yeah, especially if their monetary offer is low or if you're pushing back hard on price, they'll start talking about non-monetary stuff, longer contract terms, maybe better support, joint marketing, things that might not cost them much but could be valuable to you.
So it pays to think about what non-monetary things you value beforehand.
Absolutely. Have a list ready. It gives you flexibility and can make a financially weaker offer more palatable overall.
What about emotional tactics? Like when someone dramatically says, that's just not fair.
The F-bomb of a negotiation. Never split the difference. Advises not to just cave when you hear fair. Instead, calmly ask them to explain how it's unfair.
Make them justify the emotion.
Essentially, yes. Turn the emotional outburst into a search for the underlying issue. Often it diffuses the tactic and gets you talking about the real problem.
Okay, what about deadlines? Usually we're told to keep our deadlines secret.
Generally, yes, but the book offers the nuance. Sometimes, strategically revealing your deadline can actually speed things up and force a resolution. It creates urgency and reduces the chance of the negotiation dragging on forever. Use with caution, though.
Interesting. And the book talks about different styles people have, right? Like accommodators, assertives.
Analysts, yeah. Accommodators focus on the relationship. Assertives focus on their goals. Analysts focus on data and process. Recognizing who you're dealing with helps you tailor your approach. You wouldn't use the same tactics on all three.
So what are some specific techniques Never Split the Difference recommends, regardless of style, to gain information and maybe counter some tricks?
Okay, several key ones. Mirroring, just repeating the last few words they said. It sounds simple, but it encourages them to keep talking and expand.
Like the last few words.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
Then there's labeling. You articulate their emotion. It seems like you're feeling hesitant about that clause, or it sounds like you're frustrated. It shows empathy and can de-escalate tension.
Okay, mirroring and labeling. What else?
Calibrated questions. These are open-ended how or what questions designed to make them think and reveal information, often solving your problem for you. Not can you do this, but how can we make this work? Or what makes that approach necessary?
Puts the onus on them. I like the idea of trying to get them to say no. Seems backward.
Right. But the book argues saying no makes people feel safe and in control. So ask questions that invite a no, like, is now a bad time to talk? Or have you given up on this project? It paradoxically opens them up.
Huh. And the goal is to get them to say, that's right.
Yes, that's the golden moment. Not you're right, but that's right. It means they feel truly heard and understood. You get there by summarizing their position and feelings accurately.
What about dealing with potential negative perceptions? That accusation audit.
Yeah, that's powerful. You list out all the bad things they might be thinking about you or your offer before they say them. You're probably going to think we're being unreasonable. It neutralizes the negative before it lands.
Disarms them a bit.
Okay?
And the rule of three?
That's about making sure an agreement sticks. Get them to agree to the same thing 3 times in the conversation using different methods. Like they agree initially, then you label or summarize it and get confirmation, then ask a calibrated question about implementation, like how do we ensure we execute this effectively?
Makes it harder for them to back out later. How do you
Okay.
say no effectively without just shutting things down?
Gently but firmly. You can use calibrated questions like, how am I supposed to do that? Or polite deferrals. That's a very generous offer, thank you, but I'm afraid it just doesn't work for us right now. Avoid making a counter if you're not prepared to.
And always watch for inconsistencies. Like words say yes, but body language screams no.
Absolutely. Tone of voice, body language, if they don't match the words, something's up. Use a label. It seems like there's something still bothering you about this. Try to uncover the hidden issue.
And the final warning seems to be about anger. Yours or theirs?
Huge warning. Anger destroys cognitive function, makes you make bad decisions, and kills trust. Keep your cool and try to de-escalate if they lose theirs. Nothing good comes from negotiating angry.
Okay, so wrapping this up. It feels like the big takeaway from this deep dive is that real negotiation mastery isn't just about logic or having the best case on paper.
Not at all. It's so much about understanding people, their emotions, what they're not saying, the hidden dynamics, their perspective. That's where the real leverage is.
Combining the insights from difficult conversations on understanding the layers of interaction with the more tactical, street-smart approaches from Never Split the Difference, that seems like a powerful combo for anyone in business.
Definitely. It gives you a much more complete toolkit for navigating these often complex, sometimes challenging, but always critical conversations.
So maybe the final thought for you listening is this. Stop thinking about negotiation purely as winning or losing. Instead, think about it as understanding. Understanding the person across the table, understanding the hidden currents, and navigating those human complexities to find solutions. How might reframing it that way change how you approach your next business challenge? Be curious. Listen more than you talk. See what you discover.